Two legends, two finals, two exits that broke the world. One walked off in tears after carrying a nation on his back. The other lost his mind in the biggest moment of his life. Both had everything. Both threw it away. But only one story will haunt you forever. Subscribe, because this one hits different. Picture this, a stadium packed with over 69,000 people, the whole world watching. And in the middle of it all, one man, the greatest of his generation, walking off the field for the very last time, not with a trophy, not with a smile, but in silence, in shame, or in heartbreak so deep it had no name. This is not just a football story. This is a story about what happens when legends meet their final moment, and how that moment defines everything. Two men, two World Cups, two exits so dramatic that people are still talking about them decades later. Zinedine Zidane in 2006, Diego Maradona in 1990. One chose chaos, one was swallowed by it. But before we get into what happened in those final moments, we have to understand who these men were. Because to truly feel the weight of their exits, you have to understand what they were carrying when they walked into those stadiums. Diego Maradona did not just play football. He carried an entire country on his shoulders. In Argentina, he was not a player, he was a symbol, a god, a man who had already given his nation the World Cup in 1986 with what many call the greatest individual performance in the history of the sport. The hand of God goal, the goal of the century. In 5 minutes, he rode himself into eternity. So in 1990, Argentina came to Italy expecting more, expecting Maradona to do it again, expecting the impossible to happen one more time. But something was different. Maradona was not the same man. His body was breaking down. The years of pressure, of injuries, of everything that comes with being the most scrutinized athlete on the planet. It had taken its toll, and yet he kept running. He kept fighting. He dragged Argentina through that tournament on pure will alone. They were not a beautiful team in 1990. They were a survival team. They ground out results. They suffered. And somehow, Maradona made it work. Argentina made it to the final, against West Germany, the same opponent they had beaten 4 years earlier. But this time, it was different. Argentina lost, 1-0, a penalty in the 85th minute. And when that final whistle blew, the cameras found Maradona. And what they captured was not the face of a man accepting defeat gracefully. It was the face of a man who was shattered. He was sobbing uncontrollably. The tears were not just about losing a game, they were about the end of something. The end of an era, the end of him at his greatest. And then he said something. In the post-match chaos, Maradona pointed to the stands and said the German fans had laughed at Argentina. He was furious, he felt humiliated. Not just defeated, humiliated. That image, Maradona crying on that field in Rome, it became one of the most iconic photographs in sports history. Because it showed something the world rarely sees, vulnerability from the invincible. He left Italy in 1990 not as a winner, but as a man who had given everything and still come up short. Now let's talk about Zinedine Zidane. If Maradona was Argentina's god, Zidane was France's architect, the man who did not just play the game, he transformed it. He played football like it was art, every touch deliberate, every pass weighted perfectly. Every moment on the ball felt like watching something rare happen in real time. In 1998, Zidane had already etched his name in history. 2 goals in the World Cup final on home soil. France lifted the trophy. The country erupted. Zidane became more than a footballer. He became a national icon, a symbol of what France could be. But by 2006, Zidane was at the end. He had announced that the tournament in Germany would be his last, his final dance, his farewell to the sport he had defined for over a decade. And the farewell was going perfectly. Zidane was extraordinary throughout that tournament. Better than anyone had any right to expect from a 34-year-old man playing his last professional games. He was carrying France just like Maradona had carried Argentina 16 years earlier. On his back, on his will, on something that looked less like athleticism and more like pure, burning desire to end it right. France reached the final. against Italy. And for most of that game, Zidane was magnificent. He scored first, a penalty, chipped audaciously, almost mockingly, off the underside of the bar. It was the kind of goal only a man completely at peace with himself could score in a World Cup final. The world was watching. He did not flinch. Then Italy equalized. The game went to extra time, and that is where history cracked open. In the 110th minute, Zidane walked up to Italian defender Marco Materazzi, and without any warning, he head-butted him in the chest. The referee reached into his pocket. Red card. Zinedine Zidane, in the last game of his career, was sent off. He walked past the World Cup trophy on his way to the dressing room. The cameras caught that too. His face was stone. He did not look back. France lost on penalties, without their best player, the player who had been their entire tournament. And just like that, it was over. The two exits could not have been more different on the surface. Maradona cried. Zidane walked in silence. Maradona's Argentina lost honestly, outplayed in the end by a better team on the day. Zidane's France lost partly because of a decision Zidane himself made. A decision that nobody fully understood and that Zidane himself has never fully explained. He said Materazzi insulted his mother, his sister. Zidane said he had no regrets, that any man with dignity would have done the same. But here is the thing. That is exactly what makes this comparison so haunting. Maradona in 1990 lost the World Cup, but he never quit. He never broke. He was simply defeated by a team and a moment that were slightly better than him on that day. His exit was tragedy, pure, uncut tragedy. Zidane in 2006 was different. He did not lose to Italy. He lost to himself. He made a choice in the most important moment of his life. A choice that cost his country a World Cup and cost him the perfect ending to the greatest career of his generation. And yet, somehow, the world did not hate him for it. They could not, because in that moment of madness, Zidane showed something so raw, so human, so completely uncontrolled, that it made him more real than he had ever been on a football field. The man who was always so composed, so surgical, so emotionless, cracked, and the crack revealed something underneath that nobody expected. Passion, pride, something so personal that no trophy could contain it. Maradona's exit in 1990 broke hearts, but it was the exit of a warrior who had given everything and still fallen short. There is dignity in that. There is a specific kind of pain that comes with losing after giving everything. And the world recognizes it, respects it. Zidane's exit in 2006 was something else entirely. It was the exit of a man who chose to be human in a moment that required him to be superhuman. And in doing so, he created one of the most debated moments in sports history. Who had the more dramatic exit? Maradona left crying, defeated, carrying the weight of a nation that had believed in miracles. Zidane left in silence, expelled, carrying the weight of a choice only he truly understood. Both exits were permanent. Both exits defined how history remembers them. And both exits revealed that behind the legend, there was always just a man with limits, a man with pain, a man who loved something so much that losing it, in any way, was almost impossible to survive. Here is what is remarkable about both of these stories when you look at them from a distance. Neither man was remembered less because of how they left. If anything, they were remembered more. Maradona's tears in Rome in 1990 did not diminish the hand of God or the goal of the century. They added to them. They made him human in a way that his genius never could. The greatest player of his era, weeping on a football field, unable to speak. It reminded the world that he had actually felt every single moment, every single game, every single heartbreak. He was not just performing greatness, he was living it, and losing it hurt him in a way that trophies alone could never have predicted. Zidane's red card in Berlin in 2006 did not erase the 2 goals in 1998 or the Ballon d'Or trophies or the years of brilliance that made him the most complete midfielder many had ever seen. It became part of him, inseparable from his legacy. People who barely watched football in 2006 know about the headbutt. It transcended sport. It became a cultural moment. A moment that asked a question the world is still debating. What would you do if someone said the unforgivable to you at the worst possible time, with everything on the line? And maybe that is the deepest truth inside both of these stories. The exits we never forget are not the clean ones. They are not the retirements with confetti and standing ovations and perfect final games. The exits that stay with us are the ones where something breaks, where the mask slips, where the legend becomes a person right in front of our eyes. Maradona gave us his soul in 1990, whether he wanted to or not. Zidane gave us his in 2006 with one single, unplanned movement. Both men walked off fields they had dominated for years. Both walked off in ways they had never planned. And both left behind something that no highlight reel or statistics table can fully capture. The question is not who had the more dramatic exit. The question is which exit you feel more deeply. And that answer says more about you than it does about them. If this story moved you, if you found yourself feeling something for two men you may never meet, on fields you may never see, in moments that happened before some of you were born, then you already understand what this channel is about. We do not just compare statistics here. We do not just rank players or argue about trophies. We tell the stories that live underneath the numbers. The stories about what it costs to be the best, what it feels like to carry a nation, what it means to have one moment, one single moment, define everything. There are more stories like this coming. Stories about greatness and pressure, about glory and collapse, about the men and women who chased something so big that it changed them forever. Hit subscribe so you do not miss a single one. Drop a comment below and tell us, Zidane or Maradona, whose exit hit harder for you? We read every single response. Because these stories only get better when more people are in the room to feel them together.